Hey everyone, I'm Mary Beth McAndrews from Dread Central, and I am here today with the cast and director of the new film Ultrasound. I am joined by director Rob Schroeder. Hello.
Hello.
And stars Chelsea Lopez.
Hey.
Hello. Rita Wool. Hello.
Hello.
And Vincent Carthizer. Hello. Hi everyone. Okay, Rob, I'm gonna ask you first. Can you just tell viewers briefly what Ultrasound is about, if you can?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
It has some sci-fi going on, I guess. But it's about hypnosis and mind control and all that fun stuff. It's a tough one. What would you say it's about?
Way to spoil the movie in 10 words, Rob.
I don't know. That's a tough question.
Let me just tell you about the final scene of the movie. It's a thriller. Let me just turn to the last page of the script here.
It's got a lot going on.
I remember reading the synopsis and being like, okay, and then watching the movie and being like, nope, I did not know what to expect in this movie at all. But I love that.
Someone said it's Inception with more cuckolding.
What? That's the tagline. We got to put it on the poster, put it on the Blu-ray box art.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, I heard that when you use cuckold in a tagline, it really helps the film.
Yeah,
big marketing technique. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
I'm putting it on my resume, so
yeah,
just cuckold.
Under special skills, it's really important.
Just under skills, not special, just skills.
Oh,
Very broad strokes.
Subcategory.
Right.
But Rob, this is also based on a graphic novel, and so I'm curious how you found the graphic novel, and then also I know that there was some stuff going on with the graphic novel. It wasn't finished yet when you started, so I want to hear a little bit more about that kind of background.
Yeah, it was a graphic novel called Generous Bosom, and it's told in 4 parts, and these books are kind of written, drawn, inked. Everything is all done by one guy, Connor Steckschulte. And when I picked up the first one, and then about a year later, I got the second one. And that's when I reached out to him, and we got together. He wrote a screenplay, and then the 3rd and 4th book came out. So, and now it's collected in one single edition. So, yeah, the first one, I didn't know what the hell was going on. And then a year later, when I read the second, I was really intrigued because it kind of opened up a lot of mysteries. And when I reached out to him, he kind of knew the whole story and felt like he could write the screenplay. So that's kind of how it happened.
Oh, that's amazing. And so starting with Chelsea, did you read the graphic novel while you were preparing for the role?
After I booked the role, I was sent the first 2 books, and that's when I got to delve into them a little bit. But it was a pretty quick turnaround from the time I was cast to the time I was on set. Was about like a week and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was in Mexico at the time when I got the job, and I flew right home to a fitting the next day, and it just kind of started from there on. So it wasn't a lot of time to digest it all, but I did read them, and I love Connor's work so much.
Cool. Are any of you graphic novel people? Like, are you big readers of graphic novels? Rob, I'm assuming you must be.
Yeah, I love indie stuff, and there's a local comic book store called Secret Headquarters that I go to religiously. So I'm always picking up weird stuff.
Cool. That's amazing.
When I was in New York, there was like a comic man who sold comics, and I would get some from him, but I'm not like an avid comic reader.
Frida or Vincent, are you either of you of a comic people? Cool.
I had like my moment. I think I read the Sandman comic books.
That's a good one.
And Mouse.
Uh-huh.
There was like a time in like post-college where I was living in New York, and that's all I could handle was some graphic novels.
No, I understand that. I'm still going through that phase many years later where graphic novels are the best thing for my brain. But I
did read them when I was at like, actually the first pornography that I ever saw was graphic novel. So there's a special place in my heart for it. Yeah.
Connor's book has some pretty grown-up situations in it.
I know. And when I read that, it was like scratching my mind from childhood to now. To do this movie, this is good. This is good.
So wait, that actually transitions to my next question about how the Chelsea, Brita, and Vincent, you kind of, when you first read the script, what drew you to it? So Brita, first to you, what drew you to the script for Ultrasound when you first read it?
I think it's very, like, it's hard to read something that is unlike anything that you've read before. And I get that people make comparisons to it, like from Inception, but it doesn't have the same tone at all. It's a very different experience reading the graphic novel. It's both like, it's kind of like hits a certain feeling that is uncomfortable and also slightly funny and very but not in a way that I think I've seen before. And so it was also fun because the graphic novel and the film are very, very similar in the tone and so it was also fun to be able to see, and Connor is like he's like an indie artist. So to see that transmute, is that the right fucking word? Transmute onto screen and script, it's all like a fun artistic mashup. Cool. And then Vincent, I saw that Vincent was in it, and Vincent is like a magical pixie dream that I'd seen his work, and yeah, it seemed like and then Tunde, and I was like, oh, this is some good shit, and I would like to be a part of it.
Well, yeah, I like that. This is that good shit. I want to be a part of it. That's a great way to go into a project.
Also, like my role in this of, being somebody in a corporation that is complicit in behavior that I deem immoral, and then it becomes difficult for me to do something against my corporate job, is an interesting story that I wanted to talk about and tell.
Cool. And then Vincent, how did you kind of get involved with the project?
I mean, I basically want to say everything that Brita just said, because she kind of just took the words right out of my brain, especially the part about hearing that Vincent Kartheiser was involved. No, but all the stuff about it just being like something you haven't read before. I mean, there's nothing new under the sun, and we all read hundreds of scripts, it's part of the job, and it's just really, it's nice to be surprised by something. It's nice to, you read enough scripts that you're like, oh, I think I know where this is going. And this one, like, I just remember talking to my friends at the time, and like, I had a very busy day when I was reading it, so I kept having to interrupt it with other stuff. And I was hanging out with a friend who was helping me move at the time, and I kept going to him and being like, okay, now it's a totally different movie. I know 15 minutes ago I was telling you about this, but I just read 10 more pages and now it's this. And I was just really intrigued by it. And then I actually met Rob a long time ago. I didn't recall meeting him, but we have a lot of mutual friends, and the script kind of came to me through a friend. And then I reached out to him, and we had a really long conversation about it and about kind of what the overarching themes were, and how he was going to bring it from graphic novel to film. And it sounded like he had a vision, it sounded like he had a real kind of firm grasp on how he wanted the story to be told, which is always really important, that a director kind of know the direction that he wants to go, and know how to set the sails to face that direction, and know how to kind of manage all of it. And I didn't read the graphic novel. I looked at it, and I leafed through it, but I have kind of a I guess a lot of actors have this stance where sometimes we don't read the source material because it can be very different than what you're doing, or it can be hard to try to work from internal to external for some of us, because we're not very bright. So if we get other things in our head, we kind of start to think from the outside in instead of from the inside out. So it'd be amazing if I was on mute this whole time when I was talking to you. No.
Uh,
What if we like didn't tell you we're on mute either, and we just let you two like talk?
I mean, I have it coming to me. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, anything you do to me, I have coming to me. But yeah, and then I got there and I was kind of like, well, this is a shit show. But it wasn't at all a shit show. It ended up like after a couple of days, I was like, oh no, this is actually like I was a little scared the first couple of days because everyone's still kind of getting their feet under them, and we were kind of attempting to do something kind of avant-garde, and it's a little scary. But after a couple of days working with the other act, I was in good company and I kind of relaxed a little.
Cool. And then Chelsea, what about you?
I just really like the challenge of the script. Like, I'd say the first time I read it was like an emotional read, like I often do, is like I'll empathize with the character, just the character I'm portraying, and read it emotionally. And then there was a lot of rereads logically of like, wait, what is happening? And trying to understand like where my character was at, and like mentally, emotionally, and all of the layers. And so I'd say, yeah, the first read was kind of more puzzling, and I like things that challenge me a lot. So it was like all right, I'll take it, and it wasn't really a thought in my mind. Like I knew I wanted to do the project as soon as I read it.
Cool. So have any of you ever been hypnotized before?
No.
You have? What was it like? If you don't mind sharing?
After ultrasound, I did hypnotherapy, just to see like what it was, but with someone that I trust, that's like a dear friend of mine, not just like some random. But it was interesting. It kind of reminded me of acting class, actually. Like it's a lot of visualization work, and like imagine your inner child in the sky and the moon or whatever, just like little like visualization exercises for healing's sake. But it was like a hour session. That's my only experience with it.
Oh.
Wait, they said imagine your inner child in the sky on the moon.
Yeah, like she kind of like guides you with her voice. I don't know if this is traditional hypnotherapy, like because I don't have any other context, but I just laid on my couch and she like, it was really soothing. I was like, hypnotize me. Yeah, I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know that Connor was witness to some hypnosis, like one of these kind of stage hypnotists who hypnotized one of his friends, like in high school. And that was, I know, a big inspiration for writing the script.
Yeah, I'm terrified of hypnosis. I was before, but now
more like on a stage. Yeah.
Yeah, and after watching this, I was now like, am I hypnotized right now? Like that? No, thank you. But then Rob, so this is your feature film debut, but you've directed a lot of stuff before this. So
Yeah.
what was it like to kind of go into the world of feature filmmaking with Ultrasound?
It felt like a leap just because, it was kind of a smallish production. So, you don't have a lot of pre-production and you kind of have to put faith in the system. So it felt like a little bit of a leap, like it didn't have the comfort of some of the smaller productions that I'd been on, but it was very exhilarating. And I felt like I had a lot of energy to kind of tackle it. And it was inspiring. I feel like we had a great cast and crew, and that made every day kind of, a new challenge. So it was a good, very positive experience.
So do you want to make another feature film?
Yeah, I love movies. I'm amazed at what's happening right now with television and how people can make so many good episodes one after another. But for me, I love film, cinema, and movies.
What's your favorite show that you're watching right now, since you brought up TV?
Oh man, I don't know. I watch Atlanta pretty regularly.
Yeah.
I'm from North Florida, so I feel like it's kind of my neighborhood, I guess. But there's a lot of good stuff.
Are any of you else watching anything good on TV right now?
So many things.
There's too much TV.
That's what you do in Baton Rouge, man. You just watch TV.
But so my last question, he just left. But Rob, my last question is, if you could schedule your perfect double feature with Ultrasound, what film would you pair with it?
Oh man, that's a good question too. You're throwing me all these curveballs. I don't know. Manchurian,
And Chelsea, please feel free to jump in if you have an idea too.
original Manchurian Candidate is a pretty solid
Okay.
choice.
Okay.
Chelsea, you got one?
I'd pair it with a book. And it would, I've said it in other interviews, but 1984, I just like really sourced that at the time. It's just something about Big Brother watching you and all
Oh
that
yeah, I have that movie again.
narrative. What?
I was gonna say what's the movie that reminds me of 1984 so much? That's not 1984. With the guy, oh man, oh, Brazil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Vincent, we're talking movies that we would pair with ultrasound for a
Yeah,
perfect.
I think Brazil's a good choice. What's the one that I referenced 2 years ago when we were doing our first interviews? The one about the two guys in the room with the time travel machine. Do you remember, Rob?
Primer.
Primer. Yeah. I would say Primer because it's like it's the same kind of a mindfuck movie where like you can't, when you're done with the movie, you kind of don't really know what's going on. You have to kind of retrace and see if you're actually following the plot. And it's also just like similar kind of aesthetic and similar like small cast kind of
You're both like, if they had $50 more, it would have been a better film.
What, our
Awesome.
film?
No, both those movies.
Primer.
Primer's also a tiny movie that's
I feel bad pushing for that extra $50 in my paycheck now, Rob. Is that like a subtle shot at me?
yeah, I was like, yeah, we needed that money, dude. We needed it
I was
back.
about to say, Rob, I'll
We were
send
gonna
you
have we
$50
were
right
planning
now.
we were planning on having buffalo
$50
chicken dip. And that was just right. We got rid of that. That was the first thing to go.
Yeah. What did you say, Chelsea?
I said I'd pair it with a book and it would be 1984, which I've said before. I just like that. I think I read that in middle school and it really stuck with me in this creepy kind of eerie, like Big Brother watching type, like mind washing way, that when I was doing prep for this, I really meditated on that book a lot.
Well, thank you, all of you, for taking the time to chat with me today about Ultrasound. Everyone, please check it out. It is an incredible film, and I really appreciate you all taking the time.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank
So
you.
much.
Enjoy New Orleans.